All right, I'm the youngest of five siblings. I had two brothers and two sisters. They were much older than me, like the youngest would have been 10 years older. So I heard a lot of stories growing up. I grew up in Collinsville. I've lived around the area my whole life, pretty much, or nearby. I had two neighbors out where I lived, and one of them, I had a friend around my age, so we were best friends. I was born in 1960, so I grew up listening to, my sister played the Beatles music. I heard news stories about Vietnam, and I also remember the day that Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. Today I'm married with 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and a great-grandchild. I lived out on the back country roads, and Collinsville has a lot of history itself. It's home to the Cahokia Mound State Historic Park, which a lot of people feel has a lot of psychic energy there. It's also, Collinsville was an old mining town, probably from the later half of the 1800s to the mid-1900s. And I grew up close to what they call the 7 Gates of Hell. What they are is old railroad trestles built in the late 1800s, and they used to help trains navigate through the mining community. Well, the legend is if you go through all the 7 gates, starting at gate 1, at exactly midnight, a portal to hell will open up, and the hellhounds will drag you to hell, or you can go in reverse from the 7th gate to the 1st gate, and you're supposed to be able to see into the depths of hell. I've never had a desire to find out any of that or drive through there at midnight. I've driven through there, a couple of them, many times to get from point A to point B. I started hearing stories when I was about a teenager in the 70s about devil worshiping at around gates 3 and 4, which is close to where I lived. I used to ride my bike out there, in fact, growing up, before I knew any of the stories. I've heard legends over the years about different things, hangings, the KKK Klan hangout. But what I do remember myself being a teenager was there was devil worshiping going on out there. And I did hear that a lot. The old house that I grew up in was not too far from there. And it was a creepy house. It was old. I experienced some things growing up, and so did my siblings. Well, at first, I would hear my sister talking about this old man that she'd see in her mirror at night. She had a room upstairs hanging over her bed. Or there would be the sound of newspaper rolling up under her bed, and then she'd get hit. That was her claims. And I heard stories about my brother and sister being home alone one time when they heard noises at the back of the house, and the back of the door slammed shut so hard that they couldn't even get it open. They tried to pry it open, so my brother went and got my dad's shotgun and just sat there in a chair holding the gun until the parents got home. My mom used to work outside the home until after I was born, and then she stayed at home. One day, I guess I was around the age of 6, I was outside in the front yard playing when I saw this old man walking my way from down the lane. I don't know where he came from, just came out of nowhere. He was wearing this long trench-style coat and a hat. He came walking up the road. He stopped where I was and asked me if I lived there in that house. And I nodded yes. He said he used to live there also and talked about how the place had really changed. Then he looked at me, and his eyes were like really wide open. They looked really wild, really scary. And he pointed to the upstairs window, which is where my sister slept. And I looked up there as he was pointing, and then when I looked back, he was gone, nowhere to be seen. That quick. So I ran in the house. I told my parents what happened. They didn't believe me. They said it was probably someone from the neighbor's house, and there's no way that he had lived there. But years went by. I told my sister years later when she was talking about things that happened there, and I told her what I saw, and she knew that I was telling the truth. Also, growing up, I thought it would be really cool one day when my sister was gone, to take my friend up to her room and get out the Ouija board and start playing around with it. And all of a sudden, I hear something crashed in the storage closet in the next room over. And I'm telling you, she went out of there fast, and I'm like trying to get everything put back where it was. And I don't think I ever got down those steps as fast as I did that day. But it was, I've had things, off and on throughout the years, but that has always stood out to me in that house. And then probably not long, year, maybe two after that incident, the house burned down. We were on vacation, and we got a call that the house neighbors heard an explosion. I think there was a faulty furnace or something in the house. I was pretty young, and the house burnt down. So my dad rebuilt and some of the property a lot over. And the garage still stands there, though. The garage is right next to the house. Story.
You said the house burnt down, and you on Street View you can see a little clearing there. Was it just right in the middle of that, or back a bit?
Yeah, it was right on the. You're looking at it from the road, and you see the garage. It was set directly to the right.
Okay.
Of that garage.
So probably to the right of the tree. There's a couple of trees right there, but yeah, I mean just to the right of that. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. And now, which way was the person walking down the street? Was he coming? If you're looking at the garage, was the person coming from your right or from your left? From your left.
From the right, because there's a dead end back there, and that's where he was walking up from. I did ask my friend after that, did you have somebody over? He said, no, there was nobody at my house like that, that looked like that. So they did not know who that was.
Man, that's crazy. It must have been pretty freaky as a kid to actually have.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, right afterwards, because I remembered the stories that my sister would tell, and my brother, and the stories they would tell all the time. I would hear them, and like, oh wow.
Well, everybody, that was Karen Birks' personal paranormal experience, and I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And again, Karen Birks, thank you very much for your experience. Now, if any of you want to tell your story, join the Facebook group called Personal Paranormal, and the link is in the description. Also in the description is the YouTube channel, Personal Paranormal, that only has these videos on it. So make sure you subscribe to that channel. This is episode number 6. You'll find the first 5 very interesting as well. Make sure you like and share this video so that we can get more people watching these personal paranormal experiences and sharing their stories. Until next time, everybody, be safe out there.